Alright, think I fixed it. Think I fixed it. Did fix it. Hey guys, it's Ashton from Ashton Warrior Preps, and today we're going to be painting the Breacher tool from Arc Raiders. Yep, look. Very pretty. Or very grimy, rather. Yeah, awesome. Very much love it. So if you're coming into this late, go ahead and go back to the previous video. Or if you just want to build one of these, you can find the free blueprint in a random trash can. I'm just kidding. It's on my website. I've still been playing a lot of Arc Raiders. I'm having a blast with it. I am absolutely just loving it. Anywho, so for this paint tutorial, we are mostly going to be using brush paints. There's a little bit of HVLP you're going to see me use. A regular airbrush will work. I'll mention sub-ins and alternatives when needed, but for the most part, this is a pretty inexpensive prop to paint. You'll see here I do have a faux leather wrap. Right here, you can mimic this with HD foam or whatever. I just happened to have this when I was finishing it, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to throw that on there to match in the game. Yeah, let's just jump into paint. So for starters, because this is the surface that's getting painted is largely HD foam, we can just skip what I normally do and go straight into Plasti dip. Just use a rattle can of Plasti dip. For this, I am going to do 2 or 3 medium coats of Plasti dip, and that's just going to make sure I still have the impact and flexibility of the rubber coating without sacrificing or putting any unwanted texture on here. Now, if you've been following some of my recent paint tutorials, after you've got your Plasti dip on there, I oftentimes shoot... I hear Arthur. Hey buddy, do you want to come downstairs? You can come downstairs. He's just staring at me. Menacingly! Anyway, so once you've got your Plasti dip on there, I often like to lately shoot a coat of filler primer. A lot of my 3D printer guys out there know filler primer as what you will prime and sand a 3D print with. You're not going to lose your flexibility if you do it like I do it here. What I do is shoot a very light dusting on there. Once it's dry, I wet sand it with 800 grit sandpaper, and this is just going to fill in some of the Plasti dip texture and not sacrifice your flexibility. If you do 2 or 3 coats of filler primer on there, you are going to lose your flexibility, but if you just do a light dusting and then some sanding afterwards, you're still going to have it looking how you want it to. Once your filler primer is on there and you've done the sanding to your desire, we're then going to go into the metal portions first. So to start painting our metal portions, I'm going to split this off just a little bit. As in, you see here, this is supposed to mimic your wood grip. The pry bar and the hammerhead up here are supposed to be metal. I'm assuming they would be steel or like tool steel. And I'm purely basing that off of like a Halligan, which is the firefighter tool that this is loosely based on. What I do for this is to get my base metallic coat on there. We're going to try to mimic stainless steel. And to mimic stainless steel, we want to start out with something that is a light chrome. Now, to mimic a good light chrome, what I like to do is do a gloss black base. And then once you've got your gloss black base on there, if you want to add some texture while the paint is still wet, you can hit it with a texture sponge. Not overly necessary for this build. We're then going to shoot it with Alclad 2 Chrome or Spastix Mirror Chrome. Now, going over our metal pieces once more, I'm then going to take everything that we've just chromed and I'm going to rub some graphite powder on there. Now, for some of you out there, that may seem a little overkill because you're like, oh, well, the graphite is supposed to make it look like chrome, whereas you just put chrome airbrush paint on it. Phew, couldn't think of words. Yes, however, if you've worked with graphite as long as I have, you'll know that it shines anything relative to the base color. So a lot of people, when they do a chrome, like a darker chrome, they'll do gloss black and then graphite powder. We are going for more of a stainless steel, which is kind of like similar to like a polished aluminum or something. So we want to start out with a lighter chrome base. That's why we shot it with a airbrush chrome first, because it doesn't come out near as dark. Once you've rubbed your graphite powder on there, again, you should be using a cotton ball or an old rag to do this. It gets everywhere. You polish it until you don't see it coming off on the rag anymore. Once you've got your chrome on there, we are then about done with our metal bits. Now, we're then going to move on to the wood section. That is this middle section here where the stickers are. The wood section, I am going to mask off. Well, actually in the clips, I don't think I masked it off well enough. But you can mask it off, and then I hit it with a rattle can beige. I'll go find it real quick. I don't normally like rattle cans, but this was the only color I had on hand when I was painting this, and I didn't want to go to the store. But I used a Rust-Oleum satin enamel. I use this. It's Rust-Oleum. It's a beige, French beige, because it has a nice base wood look to it. If you look at any brand new tools with a wooden grip, you'll notice that they are a more beige color. That obviously, you know, I have an older tool here. There's that for comparison sake. It started out more this color. So we're going to shoot that with 2 or 3 coats or until you're happy with the coverage. Once your wood grip is done, we're then going to go back down to the pry bar section. So what I opted to do for this portion is I used an iron paste. It is iron paste. It functions very similar to graphite powder. It is actually, if you took graphite powder and rub and buff and did a little fusion dance, you get iron paste. It needs time to dry. It's not like graphite powder where you rub it on there and as long as it's got something to stick to and you polish it well enough, it'll stay. This needs time to dry. So I took an old chip brush and some iron paste and I stippled that along the pry bar section. It'll come out a little darker, and that is intentional. A lot of tools of similar nature will do a powder coat on something that would be like this pry bar, and I wanted this to come off as if it was a powder coat that had been kind of worn down, and the graphite powder mimics that really, really well. Once you've stippled on your iron paste and you've given it time to dry, that is your pry bar section done. We're then going to move up to the head of the breacher tool, and we're going to just go over everything and make sure we're happy with our chrome. And then we're going to go to the center section of the Ascension tool right here, this darker black one, and the clasp that holds it on to the rest of the build, like so. That's the 2 darker parts. I'm going to go over these with that iron paste, and I did go off camera. I did hit it with some acrylic black just to darken it even further, but there's a better view of that. Once you're good and satisfied with the portions that need to look semi-powder coated, and you've done that with your iron paste, we can then start going into weathering. Now, weathering for this is largely subject to how you want your post-apocalyptic props to look. I think in the game it looks pretty good, but I think it looks a little too clean for what it is. I think you would see definitely more scrapes like I've done down here because of what it's been doing. So I opted to add a little more age to mine. You can opt into that same school of thought, or you can age it more, age it less, really up to you. Now, to start with this, we're going to work on the metal portions first. The metal portions I'm going to start out with by hitting it with a Dirty Down black aging spray. This is a water-soluble spray that has a light clear effect to it, so it will not dull your shine on your metallic portions. What I like to do is hit this from about a 5-inch distance and then take an old shop rag and start dabbing it around. This is going to mimic natural darkening of the metal and some pitting and age. And so we're going to dab that around and just get some of that black color off. And you can already see the tone and color shading of this head has been altered. Once you're done with your Dirty Down black aging spray, we're then going to use a Dirty Down dark brown. Now, the dark brown is going to really add your base colors to like a rust or some dirt and grime, and I really enjoy the look that we get out of this. So once again, we're going to spray that dark brown aging spray from about a 5-inch distance. This time I'm going to let it set for just a minute, and then I'm going to go back in and dab it. If you've let your Dirty Down sprays sit for a few minutes, let's say you had to step away or whatever, Not to worry, it's not going to stay on there permanently. You can wet a damp paper towel and dab the surface and then rub it back off. That does the base weathering and aging on your metal pieces. We're then going to go over to the wood. Now, the wood, I really wanted to highlight the grain that we covered in my previous video, and the best way to do that is to use a mix of Dirty Down Dark Brown and Dirty Down Nicotine Yellow. I started out with the Dirty Down Dark Brown first because I really wanted to highlight the grain and the open wood feel of this build, so we started out with that. Once you've sprayed that on there, we're going to wipe it. In the clips, I wipe downwards, wipe sideways, wipe horizontally with the grain facing you, because that way it'll help the color sit in that grain just a little bit more. Now, if you want a little bit more yellow to your wood texture, you can then go in and spray it with a nicotine yellow and do the same cleaning motion. Once your wood is done, we're then going to go back and focus on the metal pieces. Now, once again, I am not sponsored by Dirty Down. Cue the JonTron clip. I just really enjoy, and they have the most realistic weathering effects on the market presently. And I really love them. And the guys behind the scenes over there are super nice to me, and I love them. Once again, if you're done and you like where you're at, you don't really need to add in-depth rust. I just like it. I like rust. So I'm going to take some Dirty Down rust paint in the bottle, and I'm going to take an old stippling, like a garbage little brush, and I'm going to rub that in areas that would naturally collect dirt, water, grime, sweat, you name it. And that's where I'm going to add some heavy rust effects. Once you're happy with where your rust is, if you've got too much, once again, it's water soluble for a while, so then you can wipe it down and clear that out if you need to. Once you've got your rust on there and you're satisfied with the way it looks, we're then going to add some tool scraping. So tool scraping, or it's part of the aging process. If you look at an old tool, something like an axe head, or even, okay, perfect example is this old ball peen hammer I've got. If you look, it has what looks like streaks going across where you would actually use it. The best example is an axe or something like an old hammer. You'll notice that it looks like there is scrapes and the metal has different, looks like brush effects or scrapes across it. That is from it impacting things and adding natural weathering and age to the surface of the metal. An easy way to mimic that is to take some silver rub and buff and an old chip brush, and you're going to want to scrape as much of the rub and buff off as you possibly can until you are barely seeing any come off the brush. Then we are simply in one direction going to pull that brush across the surface of your metal areas. You can also dab it in a few areas if you really want to make it look like, a surface had been hit and marred. We're going to do that across all the metal areas that you want and highlight the edges if you want it to show that some age and weathering and grime has been affecting the age of the surface here. Once that is done, I didn't notice these next parts until I was playing with my wife, and I saw my character swing this out, and I noticed something bright yellow, and I was like, oh crap, did I miss something? And I did. In the game, there are these two stickers that go on there. They're just like traditional, like industrial looking stickers. I thought this one at first was a hand, but the more and more I looked at it, it looks like this kind of wing design. And then on the other side, it is this eyeball with the 6 dots going around the circle. I made these with basic sticker paper that you can buy at Staples. And I took my idea and design, I looked at my reference pictures, took it into Adobe Illustrator, drew out the sticker designs, and printed it on just regular old sticker paper. I then cut them out and applied them. The wing version goes on the side without the Ascension tool at the bottom, and the eyeball goes on the Ascension tool side towards the top near the leather grip. Now, finally, The leather grip up here. If you don't need to use leather, don't. It may sound fruity of me, but you know, at the end of the day, it is skin of a living creature that is going on essentially a wall decoration, and it's expensive. So please, if you cannot ethically source your leather, don't use real leather. I have some faux leather strip laying around that happened to be a similar color red to what I wanted. So I cut an inch strip and wrapped it around the top of the handle like it is in the game. Once it was wrapped on there, I then took a sanding block and just kind of scraped the edges of the leather to make it look like it had been worn down. You can also go back in with your aging spray and touch up the leather grip and the stickers if you want to add some effect to those. And that will do it. I'm very happy with how this turned out. As soon as I got done painting it, I took it upstairs to show my wife. She goes, "Oh my gosh, that needs to hang up right there on the wall." And I was like, "Well, I was going to put it down here." She goes, "You can for videos, but the rest of the time it needs to live where I can see it." So yeah, I'm super happy with how this came out. Again, I am really enjoying Arc Raiders. It's such a blast to play. It's refreshing to play a multiplayer game that I actually enjoy. I have other Arc Raiders builds planned. Just finished hand building the anvil. The red on there is Bondo, but this was actually done with Sintra plastic sheets and a little bit of HD. It was all handmade, and the tutorial is recorded. I'm going to go over and do the voiceover after I'm done here. For the anvil, Melania, I just finished editing the video, and hopefully that video will be out for the release of the Night Rain DLC. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something. If you want to see more painting or build videos, let me know. I like doing this. It's fun. So yeah. I think that should do it. If you decide to build or paint this and you learned anything from my videos and want me to see it, tag me on Instagram. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. We still have shirts and stuff. I think that's kind of it. It's thumbnail post time. I don't know. Yeah, thumbnail post time. Let's do it.